Hello everybody. Today we're here to talk about digital sales and LPI and our role in digital sales and how we're going to help customers with our digital campaigns and bring kind of their marketing goals to life. So we all know that digital is new to LPI, and we're going to run into a lot of different things, objections, reasons why. And we're gonna have to answer questions about why LPI can help them. So today I wanted to hopefully take what seems to be like a complicated process of getting a customer interested in a digital program, and then and simplify that into hopefully a few simple steps that can help us move those opportunities through the pipeline faster and get some deals closed. So with that, really, to simplify the process, I've broken it down into 4 sections. And these 4 sections are each kind of a different step in the process, and the goal is to move through that process as smoothly as possible to gain trust and build that relationship with the customer, because digital sales is a more consultative process. So really that first step is identifying the opportunity. We'll talk about what is a good opportunity, how do we find a good opportunity and qualify that opportunity. The second step is really finding some way to understand what the customer's needs and goals are, what their pain points are, because that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve a problem for the customer, whether it's to generate more leads or drive them more customers, or maybe there's an area of their business they want to grow. And the third part of the step of this process is proposing and closing it. Obviously, we need to get a proposal in front of them and figure out how to close the business. And then an often forgot step, but an important one, is the follow through, making sure that we're following through on the expectations that we set with the client, and then making sure that all in all the campaign is successful for them and meets their objectives and goals. You see now up on the screen a video that I'm not going to show. It will be sent out to the entire organization, but it's kind of a basis of philosophy for what I'm going to talk about today. So getting a little bit higher view, or the 30,000-foot view of what we're doing. And this is a gentleman by the name of Simon Sinek, who talks about leading with the why. Most of our competition in the marketplace is starting with their products and telling people how their products can help them, and then asking them to close this, asking them to buy those products or services from them. My contention is that if we start from the other direction, that we start with why they're going to help their business and why LPI can help them in that process, explain to them how that's going to happen, and then at the end we get to the products or solutions that will help them do that. And basically it's kind of an inside out selling process where we're leading with the why. And so that's a lot of what we'll talk about today. What are some simple things we can do to lead with the why? It helps you build that trust and rapport with the customer throughout the process. So let's just jump right into kind of that first step, which is how to determine a good prospect. Richard's talked a lot about this in his emails and his communication, but really I've built a list here of verticals that are good businesses or business types to go after. Automotive dealers, dentists, attorneys, etc. But one thing that these people have in common, for the most part, is that their average client has a fairly high value. So if a client like an automotive dealer or a dentist or an attorney signs a new client a month, it's generally a pretty big ticket or big value to them. One I like to use a lot is funeral homes. If a funeral home can get an extra funeral a month, the average cost of a funeral is $8,000 to $12,000 these days. I mean, that's $8,000 or $12,000 in revenue that they're adding. So the reason why that's important is, as we're asking people to invest $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a month, we need to be able to show them that there's a return on that investment. We're not just gonna take their money and get them an equal return. We're gonna actually help build their business and build the revenue that they're generating through the programs that we're running. So I always say the simplest way to understand whether someone is a good digital prospect or not is to think about what that average client value is, and if it's a high value, they're generally a pretty good prospect for digital. Another thing is that we, in our existing customer base right now, we have customers who are multiple accounts or large multiples. These are the people that already have the budgets and are looking for the return on investment that a digital campaign can provide. So keep those accounts, and that's kind of your low-hanging fruit for these campaigns. So when we talk about digital and LPI, something that we're going to run into, and I'm sure many of you have already, is the inevitable question, well, aren't you guys a church bulletin company? Why should we be doing our digital marketing with you? Where's the connection there? And so the first thing we have to do is be able to handle this objection and be able to articulate our value proposition. So while it's great to put this into your own words, I'll share with you what my what my value proposition, and then I'll say it changes from time to time when I speak it, but really it stems from the fact that LPI has spent the last 40 plus years building relationships with churches and advertisers within our communities. We as an organization are constantly evolving. We realize that in this day and age, we have to provide solutions to those partners of ours that are relevant in this day and age. And so digital was the next obvious step for us in that pursuit. And the reason why they can trust us to do that well is that we have a responsibility, because of the relationships we've built, to do it well. If we don't do it well, we risk alienating the relationships we've built over the last 40 plus years. So thinking about that value proposition, when someone says, aren't you guys just a church bulletin company, how are you going to answer that question? And if you do it in your own words, the more genuine, the more rooted in you that you can be, the better it builds that trust and that understanding with the client. So I mentioned in the beginning that one of the things I wanted to do was simplify what seems like a complicated process. And in talking to a lot of sales reps around the country, and recently at our regional meeting, one of the areas that a lot of people seem to be having a lot of issues are just kind of getting off the ground, and how do I start the conversation? How do I get from pitching a bulletin ad or getting a no on a bulletin ad to talking about digital? So one of the things that I've coached my team and we talked a lot about is to avoid the word digital. When you're trying to get that conversation started, digital is a loaded word. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. To one person, it might mean simply their website, or having a Facebook page, or things that maybe their web designer is doing to their website to help optimize it. But what we're really talking about is an outbound campaign to help drive traffic to their website. And so when you use the word digital, you can run into a lot of objections. You can run into the objection of, I've tried that before, it didn't work. I had a bad experience. I don't ever want to try that again. People are generally fearful of it because they don't know a whole lot about it. So why open yourself up to those objections before you need to? So what I've coached my team to do is to close just a 10-minute or 15-minute phone call with our prospects, where they don't necessarily understand this, but what we're trying to do is learn a little bit more about their business, and then based on us learning about their business and their goals in that call, we can actually put together a digital proposal for them. So that might sound a little something like, thank you, Mr. Advertiser, for placing your ad in the St. James Bulletin. By the way, I wanted to talk to you about some new things that we're doing at LPI. We're always trying to evolve and bring on new solutions for our customers. We'd love to get your opinion on them if they'd be helpful for you. Would you be willing to jump on a 10-minute phone call within the next week so I could just run through those with you? And generally that's a pretty soft close. It's a pretty easy close. The only thing we're asking for is someone's time. You phrase it that you're interested in, and you are interested in their opinion, and in a way that's a tactic to get the call closed, but it also comes from a genuine place, because we do want to inform people that this is something that LPI can do for them now, that we can help them grow their business from the digital side. So closing that initial call, it's a lot about when we talk about the why, we want to speak to that. We say, we believe that we have some new solutions that can help your business. Are you open to just having a discussion about that? And that's our job, is to close that initial call. You don't have to worry about closing the deal or pricing or products at this point. All you have to worry about is getting them on the phone and then bringing one of our digital team members on board, so that we can ask some good questions that we're able to determine what a good solution for them might be. So, when we're preparing for that initial call, with any consultative sale, it's always better to know as much as you can about that person's business or industry. So there's a few things we can do to help ourselves, and the more knowledgeable and the better questions we can ask in that 10 or 15 minute call, the more we're going to be able to put together a program that's going to help that client. So here's just a few things you can do to prepare yourself for that call. Make sure you visit their website, see what their web presence is like. Do they have, does it look like they have a newer website? Do they have an older website? We can help with refreshing and upgrading websites, or even building them a new site if it's a new business. So make sure we check the website and see what the situation is there. Check their social media pages. See if they have reviews on Google or on their blogs. That's all information that we can come to that phone call with, and it can build that trust sooner. If you start with, I saw you have 90% of your reviews are 5-star reviews on Google. That's really great. We want to get the word out about that. We want to get the word out about the good things that your business is doing. All these things are cementing in the potential customer's mind that, hey, this person is really interested in helping me with my business. Do a little industry research. This is something with Google, we can find information everywhere. You have to be a little bit careful, make sure it's from good sources, but the more we can find out about an industry, the better. Well, the one that I like to use as an example more often than not is real estate. Depending on when you were talking to a realtor, if it was 10 years ago, they might have been interested in spreading their message to buyers. Now, the person with the listings is the king, because the real estate market is so hot. Understanding that most realtors are more interested in getting people who are listing their homes than buying their homes these days. That's an important thing you need to know when you start talking to them. So doing a little bit of that industry research, understanding, what's going on in their industry, maybe it's the impact of millennials that are having on their business, or it could be a multitude of things. Understand that before you get to that call, so that the more you seem like that you understand what they're dealing with, the more trust you're going to build. So we've closed our phone call, and now we're setting up the call. And again, I would recommend that at this point, you're bringing in Richard or one of the members of his team or myself in this process, because this is where a little bit of the experience comes in. But basically what that phone call is just asking good questions about what that business's goals are, what unique factors are affecting them right now, and then who their target audience is. So who is their ideal customer? And you may never know going into that meeting. You may be surprised sometimes, so I never assume. Good example of that is I was meeting with a car windshield replacement company, and as we got to talking and started asking questions, we realized that he didn't want any more car windshield replacement business because there was no margin in it, and instead said he was looking to get residential business for home windows, because he can help fix them without the homeowners having to replace them, and then there was a lot more margin in that for him as a business. So going in thinking you're going to talk about car window replacement and ending up with residential window replacement, just a sign that, hey, we need to dive deeper and understand what their goals really are, and then find out who that target audience is. Where are they located? What's their geography? Are they a one location business that operates within 20 miles, or do they have 5 locations that cover the state? We need to know that information. What is the demographics of their target customer look like? Do they need to reach moms who are 25 to 44 who have a household income of $100,000 or more? So everybody's going to have a little bit target audience. That's what we're trying to figure out in that first call, along with their goals and setting a few expectations of what's next. So at the end of that first call, the goal really is, like I said, is to have enough information that you can go and put together a proposal and get back on the phone with them and run through those ideas with them, and they don't really know that's what you're doing in this process, which it's not a sneaky thing, but it's just it's a way for us to move things along without getting too caught up in again, products or pricing at this point. So the end of this phone call, I think, is important, because really what you're doing is setting up your next call. So it may sound something like this. I appreciate your time today for jumping on the phone. Hopefully, some of the things we talked about today you'll find are useful for your business. And what I'd like to do is, as we were talking, I had a couple ideas pop in my head. What I'd like to do is get back together with my team and then put those ideas together. And if you'd be open to it, I'd like to just get on the phone again and no pressure, just want to kind of share those ideas with you. And again, so a very soft close, but what you did is you just set up your proposal meeting. I always ask for a date and time and then close that down. But now you have the ability, because you have enough information to go back, put together a proposal, and now you can go and have a proposal meeting with the client that's on the books. So one thing we always want to remember during this portion is that we're always trying to create an investment and not have the customer see a cost. So when we put together the proposal, there's inevitably going to be a cost for the program. But again, the customer is we want the customer to look at it as, I'm investing this amount of money to get my return on my investment. So again, the reason why we're identifying good prospects is so that we can walk down that path with them. And at the end, when they see the investment, they're thinking of it in terms of, oh, I need to invest this much to get this much return, as opposed to saying, wow, I can't afford $3,000 a month for a program. Once you have that proposal meeting closed, my advice is always to hold on to that presentation, you don't want to just email it off. You don't want to email it directly to the client, 3-4 days before you're going to talk with them. And the reason for that is, as soon as a business owner gets a proposal in their hand, the first thing they're going to turn to is the price. And we all know that that's what everybody does when they get a proposal in their hand. So we want to be able to walk through that with them. If it's an in-person meeting, great. If it's over the phone, generally what I suggest is sending it over to them right before you jump on the call with them, so you can walk through it together. So that's really what I'm calling, owning the presentation. Make sure that you're there to build the value, or, one of our team members is there to build the value before they're seeing that investment on the other end. So at this point, where we have a proposal built, we have a time set up to go through it, and as you can see through this process, what we're doing is we're really taking the client's ideas, because they're the ones who told us who their target audience is. They're the ones who told us what their goals are, and hopefully they've given us specific goals, such as I want to generate 20 more leads through my website a month, or I want to drive, I want one new customer per quarter coming through my website. And if we can get those specific goals, then our job is to build out a program that can deliver those goals. And so when we get to the proposal time, and we get to the end of the proposal, the customer is really thinking, well, I told this guy what I wanted to do. I told him who we needed to reach to do it. He built a program that can do that. How can I say no to that? We want to give them the idea that, hey, this was my idea. This is what I told them to do for me. And so it's just our job to then build a program that can do it, and it should make sense when you're discussing it through the proposal. I'm gonna jump out of the presentation here real quick and go into an actual proposal. And talk a little bit about some of the pieces that are in the proposal. And you can see how they mirror kind of some of the things we've talked about already in setting up the first calls and the proposal call. But really our proposal is set up to reiterate those same things. Why LPI? What is unique about us? What differentiates us? How do we build these proposals in a way that we think can help you? And then here's your specific program that we think will work for the things that you told us that you wanted to accomplish. So in these first couple slides, really what I'm talking about is the same things I started talking about when we initially met. Why are we interested in partnering with you? Well, that's what we do. We partner with businesses to help them engage in their community, to help them engage with their potential customers, potential leads for them. And so we're really interested in becoming a better partner to you because we have these digital offerings to offer at this point. Anytime we build a digital campaign, we're always looking at how does the business that we're talking to, how does their customer buy them, right? If you're interested in buying a car, it's not just pick up the phone or drive to the car lot and purchase that item. Generally, there's some sort of buying process. So in this day and age, that buying process might be, I'm going to go and jump online and I'm going to look at 3 or 4 dealers in my area, and I'm going to research the type of cars that I want. I might read a few articles online about what cars are rated the best for safety and things like that. So the way we all buy things every day, we're at different parts of what we call the consumer buying cycle, and that's what you see on this slide. We may be at a point where just doing research, or we don't really know who we are going to turn to make that purchase yet, or we may be at a point where we're just in a buying mode. We need to make a decision right now. And a good example of that is, I'm in my house and the water heater goes, and I need a plumber right now. I need somebody that can come and find that. And so what might I do? I might go and go to my phone, my mobile phone, and say plumbers, and wherever I am, plumber's there, and I need somebody I can get on the phone right away. So what we're trying to do with all of our digital programs is make sure that our clients are touching all of their customers in each of these buying phases. Whether they're researching, whether they're maybe not even aware that they're in the market for something yet, or they're in that decision mode. And each one of our products fits in each one of these segments. Some overlap, but each one of our products fit in these segments so that they are hitting those customers in each one of those buying modes. Continuing to talk about LPI's unique relationship with customers is important. I mentioned that, we have a responsibility to do digital marketing well because of the relationships we built, and I truly believe that. And we can speak a little bit about it. It takes guts for an organization to build a new team and to bring some of the best people in to do it. That's what LPI has done. We've said, hey, we can be a better partner to our clients. And we've built a team of experts that can help you do that. So although this may be a new offering to LPI, it's not new to our team. And we think that we're actually better positioned to help you than some of our competitors out there, because we've taken all of our experience and we've been able to build a program from the ground up, knowing all the things that we've seen done wrong and all the things that we know we've done right. And so, I'd like to talk a little bit about, why are we different than our competition? And it's because we can take a fresh outlook on putting together digital marketing campaigns. And it's really focused on driving that return on investment for our clients, and also having superior follow through where we're not just sending a report to our clients at the end of each month, but we're helping them understand why it's growing, why what we're doing is helping grow their business. What you're looking at now is a proposal page for one of our clients, and our graphics team does an incredible job of creating spec art for each one of our campaigns. So any of the pieces that are recommended in the campaign are going to have artwork that's been designed for the client. It's the old saying is it's always hard to sell a blank box, and so our graphics team does a really great job of giving us an idea that we can then share with the client before they've even agreed to anything. And I would encourage you that through this process, if you have ideas or based on your conversations, you come up with a unique idea to help promote the business, that you share that with our graphics team, because they can help make that vision a reality and put it on paper. But as far as the campaign, this is really when we're going to be going through the nuts and bolts of the digital campaign, what each of the products are. At this point, this is really where it's great to have one of our digital team members with you, because they can help talk about that nuts and bolts portion and answer any questions that the client may have at this point. And really what you can do is learn by osmosis at this point. You can learn just by hearing the conversations, hearing how we talk about the products. And again, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll be speaking about the products and where they fit in that customer buying journey, so that they understand that this is a living, breathing, multi-solution campaign for a reason. We recommend all these solutions because they each work in a different way, and I liken it to a good investment portfolio, right? You diversify where your money is, because each of those things that you put your money into has a little bit different rate of return. Just like with a digital marketing campaign, we understand because of historical data that some of these pieces will have better returns than other, but they each have a part that they play in the grand program and the grand campaign to create a successful to create a successful campaign for the client. And then this is also the page too where you're getting into the investment. So you know, at this point, hopefully you've communicated enough, or our team with you together has communicated enough where when we ask for that $2,000 or $3,000 spend over the course of 12 months, you know, we're having conversations about, we think we can realistically deliver for you, you know, an additional customer or 2 customers per month. And you told us that the average value of that customer is $8,000. So we're talking about a $3,000 investment on a $16,000 return. So those are the conversations we're having at this point. You know, that's something that our digital team can really help you with, because we have tools that can help calculate that ROI for you. And so those are good discussions to have internally as well. And now, you know, now I'll jump a little bit into, okay, what's the last slide is always our commitment, right? So what is one of those other differentiating factors that we can offer? You know, in the digital landscape, pretty much everyone has the same solutions. We can all offer the same thing. So what differentiates people from each other, and why do people buy? And again, we get back to that why. What makes someone make a gut decision to go with you over the rep that's selling them a digital campaign from the radio station or from the newspaper company in town? Well, that gut decision really comes from, you know, the trust and the belief that you have their goals and interests in mind. And the only way that we prove that is by having conversations after the campaign has started about, you know, what impact are we making? And there's tools that we have to do that. But it's important to talk about those things and mention that, you know, our belief is that we are better than our competition at proving to you that this digital campaign is working to help grow your business. The old I'll use another old saying here, but it's you know, the worst thing that can happen to a digital campaign is it didn't work. But the second worst thing is that it worked and we don't know it. So we want to make sure that we're understanding how things are working and whether things are working for the client. Because the truth of digital campaigns is that they're living and breathing. They're optimized over time. You know, they're